Ethan!
Hi!
Hello! It's
Yeah.
Tuesday. Yeah. Oh, hang on a minute. I'll tell you what, I haven't got my live stream page right in front of me face. So I need to get up too. So if you're on the live stream page, hang on, I can't see you. I'll be there in a second, in a jiffy.
We are live on Facebook, I think, although it looks like it's frozen, but it says we're there. I'm saying yeah.
Very good.
If you can see us. Oh, we've got another.
Can you see us on Facebook? I think they can because I can see us.
Good, because it just says it's live now, but it's frozen. Oh, Blades have just
There we go. Along there. Hello. Right, let me just get us organised on to.
More importantly, I'm missing.
You are here.
Can I just?
What you're missing?
More importantly, I'm missing football for this, and Blades have just scored. That's not what I'm checking, obviously.
Do you mean NFL or proper football?
No, I mean English football. This time.
English football. Why are you playing football? You shouldn't be allowed to still be playing football in that book.
Why?
That's it. Nobody should be allowed to play anymore.
Whatever.
Well, if I've got to stay in, they shouldn't be allowed to run around on a field and have a little hug.
There have been like 12 tests a day. Which rather than me after having tests, they're not very nice.
That's my. Oh. How's everyone's day been? Let us know. How's your Tuesday? Pardon?
I can't remember if I was hassling Alana earlier or you. She's asked. I feel like it was me, that one. Was it?
Well, no. Yeah, I kept pushing her and pushing her and pushing her to be more and more specific about her.
Oh, my internet's so bad.
Her needs. So yes, I've got to take responsibility for that one, I think.
Good.
So yes. Okay.
My internet's just terrible.
Are you plugged in?
Yeah. I'm just going to re-plug in now.
You are? What's it like, when the internet lets you down? That's not what we want, is it? Not good, not good. Well, hello, good evening, Joanne Jarvis. It is nice to see you here. How are you? She's having a good giggle. She's been on the wrong video. I'm not sure who this is. Let StreamYard know who you are up the top. What a big hello. And this person too. Eleanor's on. Hi, Eleanor. So it's nice to see Eleanor. Who else is there? I'm trying to do 3 things at once. Kate Cooper's there. She's had a productive day. Ooh, and a little revealing. Lauren says thank you. She needed it. Gemma says I keep freezing.
Maybe it's you, not me.
But perhaps I think we both were, to be honest. Maybe the internet was just being a little bit weird. Somebody else's has been crap all week as well.
Katie McGuigan. Hi, Katie.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Katie. I know Katie.
Yeah.
That's all good. I'm just still trying to get the flipping live stream page on.
I can't get my group on my laptop, but I can on my phone.
I've got you all now. Baby Ruth 80. Yay, PJs. She likes your PJs.
Thanks.
Hey, Louisa, she's there. Raj is there too. Hi. Ruth, hi, everybody. Susan is also saying hi. If there's anybody there, let me know. Right. Gosh, yes, Susan's on both. She's on live stream page and she's on Facebook.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Let me get me cursor all over the place. Do you know what? I'm just going to put it out there, right? The unexpected Mother Nature fairy turned up at my house this morning when I wasn't expecting her to. And when she does that to me, I get a little bit uncoordinated, don't I? I really, really struggle to just coordinate myself. So if I'm a little bit scatty tonight, my brain's like burst. But in other news, yeah, Emma's ordered a new bed, mattress, new duvet and pillows, so she's really excited. Not sure who that is, but hello, lovely.
That's Katie McGuigan again.
Hey, Lucy, and a few other people also think hello there. Great.
Karen Lander, tell us your name. I expect you to be on, my love.
Oh, good. I'm glad Karen's here.
And then Natalie Jane is the bottom one. Hi, Natalie.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
Busy work day too, chilled evening for other people. Right. So you've got our faces tonight. You don't have to look at slides tonight.
It's not necessarily a good thing when we're ready for bed.
Someone else having a great week.
Yay.
But when somebody else faced up to their finance problems today. Very
Nicola
great.
Parkinson and then Louise Bottomley. Well done.
Very good. Very good.
Ah.
So, welcome to tonight's first of two this week, coaching clinics, live Q&As, whatever you want to call them, whatever makes you feel a little bit more comfortable. She'll be ruined by the end of this. Husband's deliveries of Prosecco.
I deserve it.
We have this little, I'm going to call it a limiting belief, but I find it a limitless belief, which is the reverse of a limiting belief, in that when we drink alcohol, the quality of our work goes up. Does anybody else have that belief? Do you know what? I work better when I've had a couple of glasses of wine.
I think you just enjoy work more when you've had a couple of glasses of wine.
I definitely class that as a limitless belief.
And if I'm staying up late specifically for you and missing football, then I will be drinking Prosecco.
That's fine. That's fine. I've just been sitting here woofing out of the tub Biscoff ice cream. But there you go. I decided to put it away. Put it away.
Well done.
Okay, so tonight's all about accessing us live. So no slides, no presentations. You interact with us. We've had some questions submitted in advance, so we will kick off by beginning to answer a few of those. But at the same time, I'll do my best to keep up with the comments. So apologies up front if I do end up missing. I always worry that I'm going to miss somebody's comment. Ruth says we deserve reward, so you're allowed to have your Prosecco. Raj says it's dinner coffee, so cool. Nice. Jenna loves it that you're ready to get to bed the second this is finished. Actually,
maybe before Jenna, we'll see.
I'm going to join her tonight. I tell you what. I had a rubbish night's sleep last night. No, it's a bit of a long drive before I can get in bed. I was so hyped and buzzing after last night. My brain just wouldn't go to sleep. Yeah, see, Emma totally has some of the best ideas with wine in her. Alcohol is key. I don't want to sell us as that we're all just a bunch of pissheads in the members club, but Emma and Louisa are already in the club. We are not a bad influence though when it comes to alcohol.
I'm saying nothing anymore. No, I'm good when I feel like it. Yes, Gemma.
Gemma's in bed with a Batgirl PJs on. It wouldn't be cool if she had a Batgirl PJs on in your Wonder Woman bed.
In my Wonder Woman bed that I snuck on when my husband wasn't looking.
Yeah, that'd be good. Okay, so let's get down to some business. So I have to flick off my comments to do this clever little thing.
Okay.
I've discovered.
I saw you practicing this clever little thing and it looked really clever.
Roxy snuck on it and I didn't know she was there and she was watching me for 10 minutes.
Literally 10 minutes. I could see bogies up her nose. I could see everything.
Look at this. It's like BBC News. Am I going the right way? No, that's the way, isn't it?
No, that way. No, that way. Tom said it looks like Jeremy Kyle and he was expecting it to say how do I stop my girlfriend sleeping with my dad or something.
You never know. We might get asked that question tonight.
I'll answer it if we do.
I will have a stab at answering it, totally. So, yes, we've had about 5 or 6 questions that have been submitted in advance. Thank you very much.
I've just found some more for us.
Yeah, we won't make a big deal of saying who they belong to, just in case, you know, you're a bit shy or you'd rather keep it private. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, we're going to start with this one really. So given that yesterday on workshop 1, just to remind you that we were talking all about how to figure out what you want and need to live the happy, fulfilling and successful life that you bloody well deserve. And so we talked a lot about how hung up we get around what other people think of us and about being judged. And for a number of people, that turned out to be a big light bulb moment last night. I think particularly somebody actually found the quoted phrase of who said the term, what somebody else thinks of you is none of your business. So I'm going to keep doing that tonight where I'm like, no, the words have failed me. They've gone. So please just...
I'll get you. Don't worry.
Me. So yeah, I think this is a really, really interesting one to come up. So I think you were quite keen on tackling this one, weren't you?
I was. I'm just going to copy a thing that's come up in a comment before we lose it, because it will disappear into the ether forever. Done. So one of the things, first of all, that we talked about last night, exactly like Jodie said, but it's that knowing people don't care about you. So like through most of our lives, we're focused on us. We're focused on what we're wearing, what we're doing. But then we think about the other people that are judging us. But the thing is, those people that are judging us are worrying about what they're doing and what they're wearing, and they're not judging us. So kind of that first one is really, really understanding the idea of knowing that people don't really care about you. And that's okay. In fact, that's really, really good. Because once you start to realise they've got their own insecurities and worries, it becomes kind of easier to stop worrying about what they think about you. That one's really important. The next kind of step for this, I guess, is thinking about why you care. What is it about this that you care about? When you start knowing why you care and what bit it is specifically, you can start to kind of understand it better from that. And recognising that a lot of the stuff you are believing you care about is a societal view of how things should be, what the norm for things is. And the norm really sucks a lot of the time. I have no interest in striving to fit in with that norm. And looking at why you think you should, I guess, it comes back to that. Where is your masturbation around that? Why do you think you should fit in? And where that comes from. So think back to where that comes from. A lot of times it's bullied at school, or people telling you the whole way through that you don't fit, and you believe in it rather than recognizing, I don't want to fit. That's okay. Okay. So yeah, once you get past that idea of rejection or judgment again on that, it becomes much easier to just not worry. Because you can't be rejected by someone that you don't care about being rejected by. It's like, it's not a thing. Does that make sense? Because I feel like I'm talking too much.
It absolutely makes sense. So I'm going to put something out there that I think other people might be thinking, because I used to be like this a lot, and sometimes I still am, aren't I?
Yeah.
You know, or it'll trigger me, and it takes you talking me down sometimes to be able to put it down. And actually, you know, I'm not somebody who wants to be classed as normal. In fact, I find being called normal quite offensive. I would rather be seen to be weird, yeah, or different or unique. That's a much bigger compliment to me, yeah, than fitting in. Equally, I do still get triggered and bothered by what other people think. And I remember the trickiest question that I came up against was, how do I stop caring? You know, how do I stop being bothered about what other people think? And I think that only really came for me when I really started to push up and work on my own self-worth.
It's my next point.
Oh.
Crack on. No, go on, because you're absolutely right.
That's good, isn't it? But I don't want to like steal your thunder, but no, that's good. That's good that it went there. You can pay me for the tenuous link later.
Honestly, go on, because once your reflection on it is totally as important for people to hear as what I'm going to say.
Yeah. Well, so I never used to feel very good about myself. And a lot of that, like you were saying a minute ago, came from when you dig down in it, and it took a bit of therapy to get a load of this out.
And it
Right?
does for a lot of people, but people still have a weird thing about therapy.
You know, here's me lolling along in life. And if anybody has said to me, what was your childhood like? I'd be like, yeah, it was smashing. Great. Right. But then actually, when you start peeling it all back and digging in it and looking in it, there were loads of things that were very revealing about how that had formed my identity.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it was about unpicking some of that stuff, really, really questioning the truth in that. Is it a fact, or is it what I've been fed? And then if it wasn't the truth, which they all were not, none of them were true. It was about being able to build them back up with my own view of me. And that was quite hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of time I'll ask people to kind of give me the evidence for that thought. Where's your evidence around that? So Eleanor's just put a comment in saying that she doesn't want to offend people or upset them. And that for me is such a much bigger reflection on that other person, because I'll often joke about with people that I am unoffendable because I am not externally validated by what people think. I like who I am. I'm a nice person. I do the things that align with my values. So you telling me otherwise is never going to touch me, because I don't mind.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind that you think. And if I've upset you by saying something so I would never intentionally say something in a way intended to hurt you. So if you got upset by something I said, I would know that's a much bigger reflection on you. And it doesn't mean I won't try and talk it through, but I wouldn't be worried that I'd upset you, because that wasn't ever my intention. And if you didn't know me well enough to know that, then that's kind of your issue to deal with to some degree, but that wouldn't shake me, because I can say with that kind of honesty, I wasn't saying that to upset you. If you got upset by it, there's something bigger going on there. So that, Ellie, is like, it's a lot more about that other person. If you know you're not intentionally trying to hurt someone, then it's not your job to worry about it after that.
That's a little bit hard to take for some people, isn't it? It's to think,
really?
Oh, okay, I understand it. I know what you're asking me to do, but I'm super nervous about testing that one out.
And lots of that comes back to how you phrase things. And as a therapist, you will hear me talk a lot about kind of the psychology of language. And Joes will know, and our members know, I get away with a hell of a lot, and I can say really harsh things with kind of a grin and a smile, and people let me off the hook because it's really clear that I'm saying it for a really good reason, and I'm saying it with utter love. And lots of it is around knowing the right way to do stuff and the right language to say. And kind of bigger than that, knowing what you want to achieve by saying that. So I'm never going to say something because I want to get it off my chest. I'm only going to say it if I think it's going to have some impact on that other person. Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, there's 3 things that have just cropped up in that for me. And first one is that, you know, if you're going to say something to somebody, have it serve a helpful purpose. If it is just to offload from you, turn around, go and walk over a flipping word with yourself, and only come back when you can do it to be helpful. The second one is around circle of influence, circle of concern. When we operate from circle of influence, then we can do it from principles and desired results. And that's leading to know the outcome you want to get, because that will shape your next action, won't it? If I stand there and I think to myself, don't react, right? Pause, press the pause button. Okay, what is it that I'm trying to do here? That's, you know, what's the outcome I'm trying to get? And what's important to me about the way that I do it, i.e. my principles, you know, and link that to some of your values that we talked about last night. That's helpful. There was a third one, I'll flipping about it. About choosing language. You know, that's one of the biggest things when I end up working with women, particularly around assertiveness. always comes back to the words that people choose, always. Just picking a quick couple of comments up off the live stream page. So Sarah Louise says, there's a brilliant book I read on childhood and how much it makes you the person you are and gives you the beliefs about yourself that are sometimes not true. It's called Running on Empty by John Webb. Baby Ruth, I think Baby Ruth is Ruth, but I didn't recognise you. I don't know if you were there last night. This might be, I think we might have a couple of Ruths.
Okay, we've got a Ruth in the lounge that's asked a question that we haven't written down yet, but anyway.
Okay, but so what she's asked is, how do we get to that point?
So again, lots of it's about being self-aware and learning who you are. And so I did a talk at Will Manifest about the idea of liking yourself enough that only your opinion about you matters.
Yeah.
It was called No Fucks Given, how to not mind what other people think. And the idea is that if you like who you are, you really, really don't get stuck in this idea of being judged by anyone else, because their idea of your worth doesn't matter to you. So it will always come back to doing that stuff on you, doing that stuff to start liking who you are. And that's so in our members club, we have kind of like pillars of stuff that we work on. And one of our first ones is called Pretty Confident. And it is all about building your self-esteem, building your confidence. And that's the stuff that starts giving you that rock solid core to genuinely be able to say, oh, it's really funny that you think that about me. I don't agree at all. And that to be it. That's it. If someone says, oh, you're such a bitch, it's for me, it'd be like, oh, that's really funny. I'm really not. And that's it. But it doesn't dig it. It's not worming away at me in my brain. It's just like, oh, you've got that totally wrong. And I can let it go. But it all comes back to that working on your self-confidence. And we work so hard with women on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Interesting, Ellie. So she's put, this helps. Got to stop worrying. You haven't got to. Yeah, you haven't got to at all. However, it'd be really good for me if I did.
Yeah, I can work on stopping worrying, because that's the total truth.
Really easy answer to this one, Lorna. Choose who you follow carefully. People don't serve you. Take them out your feed.
Yeah.
Or don't go on social media.
You don't have to be friends with people you were friends with at school that you have no interest with, who used to bully you. You don't have to be friends with them on social. Remove them. Like through COVID and through American elections and stuff like that, there's so many people I've had to remove off my Facebook because they don't share my values. And I don't have to at any point decide to stay friends with them and decide we can open communications, because I can just choose to say, I don't agree with you, and therefore I don't want to see you in my personal life. I don't want to choose that. And I'm cool with that. Totally cool with that.
Yeah. Jess has just said, this is so helpful, ladies. Thank you. I find sometimes I'm good, but sometimes I can't stop worrying.
Okay.
Sophie, we've got two Sophies. Sophie May says self-worth and confidence is her absolute nemesis.
Okay.
And our other Sophie says, I feel so far away from getting to that point still. I feel like I'm always guessing what people might be thinking too.
And lots of that comes back to almost, and I talk about this as anxiety in general, is when you feel yourself kind of going into the future, what if they're thinking that, go and do something, go and take your mind off it, go and do a meditation, practice that idea of coming back to right now. What evidence do I have for that? Or am I just making up stories in my head? And again, one of the things we'll say a lot of time to our members is, what story are you telling yourself right now? Because so much of what you are saying in your head, in fact, almost everything you're saying in your head about the future is made up entirely by you, which is a great thing. So that means if you're making it up, you can just choose, I won't make this up. I'll do something.
Rewrite it, can't you? You can rub it out or write something else.
I think Mark Twain had a really famous quote that said, I've known a great many troubles in my life and none of them have ever happened, or most of them have never happened. Yeah. And it's that idea that you are making this shit up in your brain. Decide to tell a different story. And it's not just a switch, but it is to some degree. It is right, I've noticed I'm thinking that. What am I going to do instead?
Yeah, so, I was going to say to Sophie then, you're not that far away from it at all.
No. It's all yours.
Much closer. It's much, much closer than you think. much closer. It's not like there's, you know, 15 steps before you'll be able to do it. You can do it tomorrow if you want to, and then practice it.
And like everything in our brain it's neuroplastic. It learns what we do over and over and over again. And the more you do it, the easier and easier and easier it gets. And it's not just that you'll be fine tomorrow, but it is that, oh, I caught myself on that today. That's really cool. I'll see if I can do that again. And the more you do it, the more it becomes embedded like a pathway in your brain, and the easier it becomes.
Absolutely.
One other thing on this. Sorry, go on.
Raj has just said she thinks for her it depends where or who the judgment is coming from, but she will work towards not taking it to heart. That's really interesting. I see that in a lot of people in my line of work, in particularly hierarchy in a work setting. So if you're in a corporate role, hierarchy really affects that. And I'd say hierarchy's got no place anymore. It really has not. You know, I will not respect somebody because of the job title they happen to own. You know, I will respect somebody for their character, their competence, their kindness, their ability to be a good human being. We are all just humans. We all shit the same. We all bloody do, you know, nothing's different in that sense. Sorry, I couldn't think of a better example. But you know what? It really doesn't matter who or where it's coming from. I treat everybody the same.
Yeah, and that's really important. And again, that's something that I can recognise has worked for me in my life. When I was in corporate, when I was working for Cadbury, I knew the names of all the women who worked in the kitchen who served my dinner. I knew the names of the staff, and I would have a right laugh with them. And I could get anything I wanted in a place like that because I cared about these people. I knew who their husbands were. I knew what their kids were doing at uni. But because I'm genuinely interested, and I'd remember that. And like in our members club, we know almost everything that our members are doing. We often know their partners and their kids' names. And like having a genuine interest in people will always reflect back on you, and then people like you because you like people. I don't know how to say that better. One of my other last points on this was find people who will support you with that. Find your group of people who are not your negative people, who will back you up, who will help pick you up from things like that, and who can tell you your strengths and your positives, and who can know you enough to be able to pull that out and say, actually, I recognise you do that really, really well. Do you know that? What else could you do with that? Find people who, like a lot of us are friends with people at work or people that we've grown up with. Go and find people who fit who you want to be like.
Yeah.
Huge.
But it's the classic Jim Rohn quote, isn't it, about being the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with.
Yeah.
If the 5 people that you surround yourself, well, if you don't like the version of yourself, just check of the 5 people closest to you, and it's likely they're all arseholes. Trade them in for better models, is what we say.
Totally true. Or find people that can at least alleviate their effects. Couldn't agree more. Who said this? Helen Morell. Helen, I could not agree more. I was a receptionist once, and I was one of the most important people there.
Yeah.
It
does. Takes people a long time to have the strength. And you know what? When you do it, or you challenge somebody who is more senior than you, nothing bad happens. Actually, it gets you more credibility when you do it. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting. Yeah.
Who's terrible for not speaking their mind? Who's telling themselves that story? Stacey. So our Stacey. She's bothered about what people think of her. She's terrible for not speaking her mind. She's worried about what people think of her.
I hope so many of you finish this week feeling liberated from that, like unshackled, set free. Now, I'm not saying it'll never, ever trigger you, because it still happens to me, but I know how to manage myself now when it does. You know, so, Jenna, 2 years ago, so unhappy, and just so happened to live with some really unkind housemates.
Yeah.
Ruth's clapping at the no respect in a job title.
No.
And then Raj says, yeah, these people are in work, is what I'm taking from it.
Yeah.
Okay, right. That's only one question. I hope that answers it, or it's giving you a good bunch of stuff to
There's still loads more I could say, but yeah, we're getting ridiculous.
All right, let's have a look at this one then. So can you advise how to fit in self-care at this time with COVID/kids at home 24/7? Oh, do you know what, the self-care agenda? You shared a post, didn't you, in the group today? Was it one of the globals?
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting one. It's become a bit too buzzword bingo-y for me, self-care at the minute. You know, everyone's like, oh, you're doing your self-care, got to do some self-care. Right, and actually, I called up on this one good and proper the other day, didn't I? Because Roxy, I hope you don't mind me sharing. You shouldn't mind.
No.
I'm sharing. You were quite stressed out at the beginning of last week, weren't you? Was it fair to say?
Yep. As soon as they have lockdown, everything changes, and you have to just, yeah.
And I spoke to her, I think it was Wednesday or something, and she was like, I'm doing all the things, you know, I'm doing my steps, I'm drinking water, I'm meditating, I'm lying on my spiky mat. And I said, right, are we doing these as a tick list, or are we really doing them? She was like, tick list. All right, so I guess the first thing with self-care is, please don't just decide it's these bunch of activities and then make a list of things to do. That's just going to make it worse, isn't it?
Nicholas just made me so happy while you're talking.
Oh, what's she saying? I'm coming, I'm catching up.
Happy.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's so right. You are so right. You have no idea how many women have said, I'd love to do bootcamp, but I don't have time. You are bang right.
I'll come back to this. Who's this? I'll come back to it, remind me.
Helen Morell again.
All right, I'll come back to it, Helen, in a bit. But yes, so first and foremost, whatever the self-care is, it can't go on the to-do. It's not a list of, right, I've done that, tick, tick, tick. So if you find yourself going there, that's a bit of a, an alarm bell, a red flag around that. Yeah. I guess the second thing is, yes, it's not always baths and manicures, right? It's different for everybody. Yeah, it could be batch cooking and a run. It could be whatever it is for you. Remember, this is about, it's not just doing nice things for yourself, right? Trying to find a way to articulate this. So, you know, last night we were talking about our wants and our needs. Really, self-care is about, you know, protecting your well-being, right? Your physical and your emotional well-being. So it requires you to kind of do the thinking around, what are the things that I need / want that will give me a sense of well-being, both physically and emotionally. I think only when you answer that, and it's a big question that, but only when you can answer that question for yourself can you even begin to think about, how does that then fit in with my life right now?
Yeah.
You know, so it's not as just black and white as time. And if you start the time thing with us, we'll like...
Yeah, shout at you. I'll shout at you.
Defo shout at you, I'm afraid. You know, I'll use Stacey's part of our group. I'll use Stacey's. She's worked out that the only time I get to do self-care, it's a task the minute we say do self-care, is in the morning. Now, yes, all right, it's a good idea actually to, like, you do this, don't you? You get up early. Roxy gets up at 5 o'clock at the minute, but because it serves her, not because she thinks she should or she has to. Actually, it gives her a sense of well-being, to have had a bit of time to yourself, to make progress on the things that are important to you outside of being a mom.
To have quiet. So I didn't recognise till I had kids that one of my massive things is I require quiet to be mentally well. And having a 3 and a 6-year-old, I never have fucking quiet, not for a moment of my day. And so getting up early and going outside to my office, not staying here in the nice warm house, walking down my garden in the freaking rain, that just to have that quiet is self-care for me. And it's quiet that I desire.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, what are you were going to make some of your points around self-care, particularly like now with COVID and having the kids at home, weren't you?
So we've got, is it like 1,440 minutes in a day? And we all have that. And it's really important to recognise that so many of us are in the same boat. So I have my kids at home now. I'm running 2 businesses, 3 kind of combined. And still doing all the same house stuff. It is really tough. But so when Joe says I get up early, I started this last lockdown to give myself the time that I required, because by evening, Stacey said it earlier, by evening, my brain is broken. I have no desire to do anything for myself except literally veg out. So it is making active choices to fit stuff in where it is possible to fit it in. And that means sacrificing things like an extra hour in bed, because it will actually pay me off if I do that. We all have the same amount of time, and it is figuring out how to make it work for you. And there's no magical answer there for that one, but it is looking at what you actually mean by self-care and how it works. Like going to Asda is not self-care. Even if you're going by yourself, it might be like a relief to get out of the house, but this is not stuff that nourishes you. And I think someone said it up here, it's self-care is about being your future self's best friend. I love that. And that's not by going to Asda, that's by looking at the stuff that nourishes you, that makes you feel well.
Yeah, like for me, totally different. My self-care, it gives me a great sense of well-being when I can sleep lots, and I don't like to get up early. So that feels really, I feel like I'm being really good to myself when I let myself do that. You know, my body knows when it wants to sleep. Are you getting another delivery?
It's a cup of tea this time, but yes, I am. Thanks, darling. Hiding off camera.
Is he a naked butler just with a dicky bow on?
Definitely.
It's going to kill me now for saying that. And so sleep was the one for me, and the other one was like we were talking about yesterday, having fun and laughing. Ultimate self-care for me. So at the moment, whilst I can't fulfill that in the way I would prefer, here's what I do. I combine my two. I get in bed early and I watch Mock the Week on Dave before I go to sleep every single night, right? And I will be like belly laughing. I've only watched it all 5 times, but I will belly laugh watching it. Sorts me right out. But coming back to the thing, what do I do about self-care now? Hopefully that's shifted your mindset a little bit about self-care, but please don't let it come down to time. Be creative. Figure out what it really, really means for you. And then if you find time coming up, we will be tough about that and kind of say, ding, ding, ding of an excuse. I say that because when my team used to come up with excuses when I asked them to do something, I used to just have a bell on my desk that had dinged if anyone gave me a crap excuse for something.
Not passive aggressive at all.
Well, it was fun because I was teaching them between the different. Well, no, I'm not going to say it because we're going to talk about it tomorrow night. Okay. I've got a lot of comments to catch up on. Hold on.
Yeah, you have.
Hold on. There's lots on the live stream page that I can't show on the screen.
I see there's around 40 minutes and 2 questions.
Oh, hey Julie. So
Yay.
Julie, one idea of self-care in lockdown has simply been going for a walk on my own. I've been doing that every day too.
3 o'clock, Jodie's gone. Don't bother me with Jodie at 3.
3 till 4 every day. It's in my diary.
This morning, I got up. I met one of our members at 6:30 this morning, and we went twice around some lakes near us because I'm allowed to meet someone for 1 hour. Yeah, that's self-care.
And when we were talking about choices last night, it's choosing. It
is.
Have I missed any more? Right, let me just go over to I was going to let me go to the self-care page. Lord help me.
Jess has got a good question. She's right at the top there.
All right, hold on. Okay, let me go to the oldest one first. Yeah, we might have to remember this one, come back to it. So I've got the confidence assertive one to come back to, haven't I?
Yeah.
Rachel's asking, what advice would you give to someone who is pretty confident with who they are and what they stand for, but seriously struggles with overthinking everything, spending hours getting deeper into things that most of the time there is no need to?
I'd say you've got anxiety.
For that, haven't you?
I'll do it quite shortly in this case to some degrees. I'd say you've got anxiety and speak to a therapist.
Yeah.
And that sounds really, really, harsh. But as a mental health therapist, I do so much private coaching, and it is so much around that overthinking and stopping your brain and learning how to stop your brain going down those paths. Because once you teach it that, you're kind of sorted. Which sounds really, really, really blasé. But I promise you, I work with that so much. Confidence and anxiety are totally different things.
Yeah,
that's anxiety. If you're living in
that level of overthinking, and there's a few of you actually that have signed up for bootcamp that I've noticed in some of the comments, some of the homework, some of the light bulb moments, these things. I think there's, and it's understandable right now. Please know that this is not like any form of negative reflection. We have no stigma around anxiety or mental health. You know, we've both had our own challenges with all of this. We'll proudly talk about them. It's no bother whatsoever. But classic signs, really, isn't it?
Basically, I genuinely believe like almost everybody should be in therapy. It would help almost everybody to be having some sort of therapy at some point. It's like in America, it's the done thing. Not that I'm saying that America nailed any of this, but having a therapist is a really, really healthy thing.
It feels like it should be more of a maintenance thing rather than a remedial thing. If the world if society had that perception, we'd all do a damn sight better, I would say.
I agree.
I'll come back to these comments on here in a minute. Jade says, I have major issues speaking my mind. I overthink everything and wonder what they will think of me. Until last week, I never opened up about my issues and anxiety, and I only opened up about it as I hit a bit of a low and was just so overwhelmed, so much overwhelm around at the minute. She overthinks every situation, now trying to work on a bit of self-care and making time for myself instead of throwing myself into non-stop work to stop my mind. Yeah, because that's called a disguise.
It's just displacing stuff. But it might be worth thinking about working on your confidence rather than self-care to some degree. But working on your confidence is self-care in the long run.
Yeah.
And getting Naomi's friend out of interest.
Pardon?
I just want to know if this is Jade that's Naomi's friend, because I just know one of our members invited Jade, and it's my sister's name as well, so it's just one of those names that sticks in my head.
Yeah, it's definitely not your sister. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Don't say sorry. It's
because I interrupt when I'm thinking because I'm too excited to talk.
It's my hormones can't retain brain power at the moment.
That's all right.
I've remembered. Confidence. I think, there's a big misunderstanding about what confidence really is. Like most people, when they so our first secret in the lounge called Pretty Confident, and it's the foundation one, like Roxy said. And I think most people, when they go to explore the content in that, are a little bit surprised because they're like, oh, that's not what I was expecting it to be. And that's because it works at your identity, not superficial behavior. So most people will try and teach you to fake it till you make it, how to behave confidently. And it's not something that works that way, that you can just switch on. I mean, God, I am a master, absolute master, could have a master's degree in appearing very confident. That's because of a corporate background. It's almost like being an actress. That's how what kind of a skill it came to, it became, that it just oozes out of me now. But 9 times out of 10, I'm not feeling confident. You just can't see it. And I try and let it out now, and I still struggle because I've become that good at the facade piece, the front performance.
When anyone meets us two together, you are the one in the foreground that people always believe is like the most confident one out there, and it's always dead interesting when they recognise that that's not how it is.
Yeah, that's the wrong way round, isn't it?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
But it's still stuff that you're doing. It's stuff you worked really hard on last year. Is that digging into you again?
Yeah, and it was yucky. It was uncomfortable, but best thing I ever did.
Yeah. Apart from meeting me, obviously.
Yeah, well, that was the year before, you see. So we'll do that as the year before's accolade.
I've got so many comments.
I know. Jade says, yes, she's Naomi's friend. Yes, is self-care doing something that makes you happy in that moment? Yeah, why not?
Yes, but no. Yes, but it's something that kind of nourishes you. So it's not just doing something that makes you happy. It's not just having a glass of wine. Although that can be classed as self-care. It's something that, I don't know how to say nourishes without sounding as creepy, because it sounds like I'm telling you to eat kale, and I'm totally not, because I live on Pringles. But something that kind of makes you feel better in a more kind of, what am I trying to say, Joes? In a more well-being sense.
Holistic.
Yeah, it's not something that's just a quick fix for now, although that's acceptable, but in general, self-care is something that's deeper.
It's really difficult to go down a list of things and go, is that self-care or not? Only you know. But I think what we've talked about is the questions to ask yourself to truly know for you if it feels like self-care. Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce. I want to say Mariel.
Oh no, we did this last night. Mireille.
Totally understand the mask of. I'm so sorry for getting that wrong.
I know.
Totally understand the mask of confidence in certain settings, and she's found that going for a walk on my own during the day really helps me recharge. She's blessed to live on the edge of a woodland. Let me just catch up with these then. Where did I get to? Karen Lander I got to, didn't I?
So So this is Louisa, who I had a walk with this morning. We had a super stomp down some lakes. And then, Louisa owns a salon. We took our members there for a spa day a while ago.
Mireille. I remember you writing that now last night. I remember seeing that now.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to look over Lucy's.
I know, it's really hard. So this one's really, really interesting, Lucy. And actually, in our members club, we've got Marianne Killick, who's a hormone expert, and she talks about perimenopause all the time. We've got some brilliant masterclasses that she's done for us in there, and it's something that. Which way are you? I suppose I do it. Jones is dead interested in all the time, and I have to keep saying we're not all interested in that yet. But you dare bring up perimenopause. It's a huge thing. It's too much for us to go into tonight, obviously. But and don't feel bad. Just go back to Lucy. Sorry, Jenna, go away.
No, I mean, we do take our members on spa days when we're allowed out, just so you know. Not yet, Jenna. Sorry.
Lucy's thing about feeling bad that she's got all the time to do self-care. One of our questions is about guilt, so I'll just shut up and we'll go on to that in a bit.
All right. I'll tell you what. Let's go there now. Let's go there now. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, it's on. Yeah. So how do I drop the guilt about doing things for me? Guilty feelings are an issue. Oh, so many. I've got like 20 ways to stop the guilt. However, kind of start at the beginning, I guess. Quit the blame game. Who are you blaming for this? When something goes wrong, we start looking for someone to blame, and then we often blame ourselves. Feeling guilty is not going to help the situation. You not doing self-care, Lucy, feeling guilty about it's not going to make you do it anymore. It's going to make you feel way worse. So much about that is starting to look at like not bearing the blame for the outcome, but accepting that stuff happens. I can draw the line in the sand, and I can step over that line at any point I choose and change my narrative, change the stories that I'm telling myself. Blaming yourself and feeling worse about it's not going to make you go and do it. Yeah. Give yourself a proper retreat. This is a really weird one because it's kind of the opposite of everything that we think at that time. So this one applies for me is like, I feel guilty if I'm not doing anything. Like some people are feeling guilty over doing things for themselves. I feel guilty if I'm sat back not doing anything. So I almost encourage you to go and do it more. So for me, it's stop doing things more. If you're doing self-care, go and do it more. And it kind of highlights a bit of a pattern again. It's how our brain works, a pattern in our brain sort of saying, oh, she's doing a lot of this. It must be all right, even though I'm feeling bad. It kind of tricks your brain into deciding this is all right. And if you can quit the blame game at the same time, you're just taking that kind of layer of stress away from yourself. And then part of that feeds straight into prioritizing yourself, like looking after yourself is not selfish.
The other way, here's how I overcome guilty feelings is I ask myself the question, well, it's not even a question, it's a statement actually, is I will say to myself, Jodie, you know, you do not have to draw meaning from this situation, right?
Yeah.
Just observe it. Oh, you are doing this, right? That's nice, maybe, you know, whatever. But I don't have to draw meaning. We're so obsessed with drawing meaning, and this is linked to when we judge other people or we're worried about other people judging us. It's this constant need to draw meaning from everything. Now, all right, we're kind of made as human beings to find meaning in things, but there are good things that serve us to find meaning in, like the purpose of life and contributing to the world. And there are things that just are really unhelpful. Yes. So if you find yourself feeling guilty, just pause and see if you can ask yourself the question, why am I trying to draw meaning from this? There doesn't have to be any. It doesn't mean anything. It just is. Sounds very philosophical in the moment. It makes you feel very clever.
The way this question is phrased is, how do I drop the guilt over doing things for me? It kind of implies, and not necessarily, but you're being made to feel guilty for doing things for you. And whether that's true, whether you're being made to, which bear in mind, we can't be made to feel anything, but we can have people directing shit at us that we take on and therefore makes us feel bad. So whether someone is making you feel guilty or whether you are playing that game in your own head, it's recognizing that. So is that person actually making you feel guilty? Or is it easier to believe that they are, because then it allows you to stop doing what you're feeling bad about doing? Does that make sense? It's like if my husband walks in, I'm laid out settee and he says, oh, aren't you doing anything? At that point I can say no. Or I can say, oh God, he thinks I'm not doing anything. What should I have been doing? Should I have been cooking tea? Fuck off. But in general, it's like I get to choose my response for somebody else trying to lay that guilt on. Because, like, realistically, why have I just gone green? It's like my face just went green.
He did.
Don't know what changed. Nothing changed. Realistically, he's just like passing an observational comment. Is, oh, aren't you doing anything?
Still it again?
I've got my little lie here, but it's clearly not helping me. Yeah, so clearly it's just passing a comment, but I'm taking a meaning from it that is potentially not even there. And it's recognizing, but then it's like, I would only take that meaning if I was already thinking it in the first place. If I was laid on that settee thinking, I shouldn't be watching Bridgerton right now, I should be doing stuff. And that leads nice, but you're probably masturbating.
It comes back to what we were saying before of, actually, it's more of a reflection of you. When you react like that and go, what? I'm not just sitting here doing nothing, I deserve a break or whatever. It's got nothing to do with what that other person just said to you. It's got everything to do with your frame of reference at that moment. And in that example Roxy's just used there, it would absolutely be because, you know, that she's not all right generally herself with doing nothing. It doesn't suit you ordinarily. So when you do it, it's like, oh, this is naughty, it's wrong, you shouldn't be doing it.
Or again, yes, or that I was worried about what someone else's thoughts were around me doing nothing. Whereas I'd be like, if Thompson's here laying out city, I'd be like, yeah, that'd be that. There's nothing deeper than that.
Raj has just said. So every time I look that way, I'm not looking at something else. I've got a screen here with the other comments on. She's got, oh my God, I do this all the time. Always take meaning from comments my husband makes.
And it's the idea that even if the meaning is there, you don't have to take it. If Tom was looking at me thinking, you lazy cow, I'd be like, I don't mind what you think. I know what I've done today. I know what I intend to do later. It's got nothing all to do with you, basically.
I can find a like that.
Yeah, but mine would just think, yeah, I am. Thanks. What are you doing, darling?
It just made me think about something actually, though, with the lying on the sofa example. David and I were talking the other night, and it must have, I can't remember how we got there, but it was about this idea of someone that, you are lying on the sofa and someone says to you, I think I'd come in. He was obviously lying on the sofa because he does it a lot. And I was like, what are you doing? And he said, nothing. And then he said, do you know what? When I lived in Australia, if somebody was lying down like this and you asked them what you're doing, they would never say nothing. An Australian would say, I'm relaxing. And that was like, it just shows where we place our value. Yeah. Is that actually what that's really, if you want to dig in it and you really want to find some meaning in it, what that's saying is, if you're lying there and you go, nothing, why are you lying there doing nothing? It says that we don't value chilling out and relaxing.
And we don't. Like, generally, we are fearful of doing it because we live in that world of I should be doing something.
Yeah.
Who says? Yeah.
Ellie's had a light bulb moment.
Don't have to own anything you don't want to own.
No. It'll still be important to you. You don't have to do it all the time, though, with everything.
Yeah. You can be accountable, but that's not necessarily the same as taking ownership. I can be accountable for choosing to lie on the sofa. Yeah. But that taking ownership, if it's making you feel bad, I don't own that.
Okay, right. Let's have a go with this one. Oh, it's our fate.
I know.
Has anybody got another question? I've got to go back to confidence and assertiveness.
Trace, other than that, yeah, I think I've sent you two more.
This is Tracy. Oh no, it's on me WhatsApp, Tracy. The other one, isn't it?
I've got it. I can read you one out.
Okay, let's do this one reasonably. Let's see if we can do it reasonably quickly, and then we'll do the one that you read out, and then we'll go back to confidence and assertiveness. And unless there's any more, I think we'll call it a day. Because we're back Thursday, so we can do some more.
Got another one. Yeah,
that's fine. Okay. I have a big need for connection, which is being exacerbated during lockdown, and this is manifesting itself unhealthily as a need for validation, to be liked and feeling important to people.
This is basically Tracy's. This might have been Tracy's, so we're fine.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Didn't you tell me something else as well?
Yeah, but I think it's this one. You didn't have this one on your list earlier, and now you have.
No, I think you sent two. You sent me two.
Have I?
Oh, it's in relation to a question in the workbook.
Okay.
Right. Okay. We'll answer that one outside of it because it's not a coaching question; it's a technical question. Right. Connection and love. Okay. Brilliant that you've identified what your needs are. Please acknowledge that as a really good thing, that you have the self-awareness that is one of your needs, and it is not surprising in the slightest that it is exacerbated. That's not a good word for me today.
Great word, though.
It is a great word. It's unhelpful for me today. That it's being made worse by lockdown, and it's ending up that you're meeting it unhealthily, which says to me you're becoming a bit needy. You feel like you could be becoming a bit needy. So I get why that's not working for you, first and foremost. Yeah, but good that you know that it's a need. Right now, it's heightened, and it'll be the same for everybody with different sets of needs. Some people might still be able to maintain meeting those healthily, but you know what? If you've got a strong driver for connection and love, you're not going to find any tougher times than now to meet it healthily. You're really not. So just take the pressure off yourself a little bit. Be kind to yourself, be compassionate to yourself for that reason. It is understandable. However, we can still do something about it. Absolutely, you can do something about it. Now, I think there's a couple of things here to separate out. I don't know what, we haven't talked about this one. I'll just give it a grab anyway and tell me if you disagree with me. A couple of things here, because I can see why it's playing out in connection and love, but what I think's really showing up, and it's the things in validation and feel important to people. I don't think this is your love and connection driver going like this. I think it's your significance driver. I think you do have a high need for connection and love. I think it's just attached itself to the wrong need. I think maybe I think I know this person's circumstances.
You do.
Therefore, I think the circumstances are giving you signals, false signals, that the circumstances are making it about connection and love. I think it's about significance. It's about feeling important. And therefore, this is about self-worth, first and foremost. I don't know whether you want to say a bit and then I might tag team you back in a minute.
Well, I think you can say enough about circumstances so people understand. So it's a person who came out of a relationship, a very long relationship, just before lockdown, not of their choosing, and have actually been doing really, really well in that they've moved, they've found a place. But I think you've absolutely nailed it. I think it's significance, and then it's the two joined together. You've come out of a relationship where you were with someone else and you kind of had a significance there, and also the whole love and connection thing that was removed basically. And I think you will still have lots of love and connection with lots of people. You certainly have a good support network, but the significance is gone because you are now no longer number one to any of those people in kind of your friendship group, because everyone has their own lives. But because of the circumstance of how it's happened, I think Jodie's absolutely nailed it. It's the significance to someone thing. So how you meet that right now is really, really hard. And if you're trying to replace your significance to one person, which the longer version of this comment specifically says that she is, I think the long version, it specifically says she wants to be liked and feel important, particularly to the male variety. So she's specifically looking to replace this significance with another one. This is not the right time to be trying to do that right now.
It's a problem that I see quite frequently in women, and I'm going to be really bold with this because I've also been this woman, right? So I don't feel like I'm sitting up in my ivory tower, talking down at people. I've been this woman, right? Where I got into relationships from being reasonably young at school, never ever had gaps between boyfriends, just went from one to the next. That sounds like I was putting myself about a bit. That's
don't matter what it sounds like.
But if I did, I didn't, but it still would be okay if I did. But I never ever learned to be by myself and be happy as me, right? So when the time came and I got divorced, which was like the first time ever that I was then like, oh, right. And I really I thought, no, I want to get good at being comfortable as me. I don't need to live my life through somebody else, and I don't need somebody else to make me happy. It was hard. They were some of my darkest days. So my heart goes out to this lady, and if any of you have experienced the same, they were my darkest days, especially in these conditions. I mean, it was winter when it happened for me. It was Christmas. That made it hard enough. Lockdown on top of it. This is flipping hard. But it was the most eye-opening journey, interesting,
transforming.
Yeah.
Because it changes your relationships after that to some degree. So I talk so much about everything, clearly. I talk so much about people.
I love the print onesie, you know.
Everything. People are generally only able to have kind of healthy, happy relationships when they know how to be happy by themselves.
Yeah.
So, like, if Tom left me tomorrow, I adore my husband and he adores me, but if Tom left me tomorrow, I would be fine. Absolutely fine. I'd be gutted and probably quite pissed off, depending what on earth could find that were better than this.
Yeah.
But I would be fine. And if I left him, he would be fine, even though he doesn't say that. And we're together because we want to be, because we both know how to be happy by ourselves. And that is when everything changes in a relationship. And it's something really, really important that you don't get a chance to learn when you're doing what you did, when you're doing what I did till I was 25. And I eventually left the relationship and went off traveling. I didn't know how to do that either. I'd done back to back to back. But that's when the really good relationships come, the really fulfilling ones, and the ones that will last, but last well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but it's hard.
How does she meet this need healthily? So I would start to consider, so you're definitely somebody who seeks your validation externally, not internally. So I would now start to do some work on my own self-worth. I'd be looking at, a lot of the things that we've talked about tonight. What's some of the story I'm telling myself? What's the narrative? What's my inner voice feeding me? Is some of that stuff serving me? I'd be focusing on my talents, my abilities, the things that make me brilliant, unique, doing lots of those, giving myself so much evidence of why it's great to be me.
I set a client a challenge recently, so a mental health client, about, so again, it's not this person, but it's a totally similar situation, back to back to back. I leave one relationship almost always for another one. If I was getting out, it's because someone was getting me out. I was like basically having affairs along that way. And she wants to be free of this. And I set her the challenge of saying that if you were on your own for 6 months, I want you to imagine like where your life would be. And then I want to see if you can challenge yourself to intentionally, to kind of set the intention of, I am not looking for anyone to help me through this. I want to see where I can get to in 6 months. Because for some people, they almost, if it feels like a challenge, so rather than I'm left on my own and I'm abandoned and I'm being forced to do this on my own, if you can flip that into that choice, I'm choosing now for 6 months to not get into a relationship, and to see what I can achieve in my life for me, it flips that narrative, that story that you're telling yourself, on its head, and it becomes a decision of, let's see what I can do. That don't mean if someone comes along, you are not going to change change the way you are doing things, but being able to kind of decide, I'm choosing this rather than this has been forced upon me, changes how you view it completely.
Yeah.
And for some people, just setting yourself that challenge of, I will see what happens to me in 6 months. No partner, no relying on someone else. What can I achieve? And that's like a really exciting little project.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. And so maybe that for now, because you're stuck in this situation where you don't have the ability to change a lot of this because we're forced into this situation in lockdown.
Yeah, I would be very consciously and deliberately validating myself, even if that came to almost like gratitude journaling, writing to-do lists, leaving myself lovely little post-it notes everywhere, all those kinds of things, all those small little things culminate together to have a really positive effect on you overall.
And give them time to culminate. It's that thing, we're often looking for something to change immediately, and we don't recognize that those tiny little things, they add up kind of exponentially.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And there'll be wobble days. There will be wobble days for sure.
Yeah.
Me Ray's also said what we were talking about there about relationship. She said this was me while I was married. So there seems there's a number of women that have gone through this journey and come out the other side. So know that it's possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely know that it's possible.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So one last question was:
is confidence the same as assertiveness or linked to assertiveness? I'm just going to find it. Are confidence and assertiveness linked?
Are confidence and assertiveness linked? Yes, they are linked, as in they have an interdependency on each other. You know, there is a relationship with them. However, so confidence is a state, right? And it's a state that you are in as a result of feeling skilled, competent, and capable at whatever set of circumstances you happen to find yourself in. All right. You feel safe. You feel like, I've got this. All right. When we don't feel like, when we're like, I don't got it. What American film is it? That's how the Goonies, isn't it? Where he's running to catch the water thing when they're under the floor at the Fratellis. Sorry, I'm a proper Goonies fan, right?
You don't watch films, but you're a Goonies fan.
I used to watch the Goonies on repeat all summer holidays when I was a kid, right? And he's running, I got it. And then it smashes and he goes, I don't got it. Sorry, move on. Only me finds that funny. Confidence and assertiveness. Yes. So assertiveness is a skill. And it's a skill that not very many people have got, to be fair. However, being highly skilled in assertiveness will absolutely give you a huge confidence boost, particularly when you're in challenging situations, which is obviously when most people lose confidence. You know, when the sea's calm and the going's good and everything's peachy and everyone's being nice to each other, well, we don't need to dig deep for any confidence because everything's fine. You know, we need the confidence when the water gets a bit choppy and things get a bit stormy. And so therefore, without the skill, you know, you're fighting a confidence battle in that sense. And that's when people will say, oh, come on, you know, just be a bit more confident. That's really fucking unhelpful at that point. You know, it's not a switch on your back, nor can you order it in your, well, I have an Asda shop. You can't buy it and put it in your basket on the Asda website at the minute. I'm pretty certain even Waitrose don't have it. So even if you're a posh knob and you've got a Waitrose, there's no Waitroses near where I live. Have you got one near you? No. So working class. No Waitrose. Now, if I go about 20 miles up the road to Alderley Edge.
This is not relevant.
Oh, what?
This is not relevant.
No, it's not relevant. Sorry.
We've done Goonies and Waitrose, and actually we mean you can't buy confidence switch.
It is relevant because I was talking about you can't buy it in a supermarket. So yes, that's the relationship between confidence and assertiveness. If you want to be more confident in tricky situations, conflict, challenge, confrontation, feeling comfortable to say no, to question something, to push back, then assertiveness is the skill that will help you do that.
And I think when you are truly, truly, truly confident, and we've just talked like about not being externally validated, I'm green again, you are naturally being assertive, and often without even really noticing that you are. Like, if you're truly confident and not worried about the outcome, it's really easy to say no thanks. I'm not bothered about that. Someone says, can you do me a favour? I'm like, really sorry, I can't. Without giving reasons or justifications, or I think the more confident you are, the more naturally assertive you become.
Yeah. Only because you learn that it works and it doesn't end up bad.
Yeah, I agree.
Some people can try and say no, but if they're not skilled in the delivery, so it's back to language, you're not skilled in the delivery, you fuck it up and you get your fingers burnt. And that's what teaches you to not say no anymore. So normally the reason that women struggle to say no is because they might have tried it when they were really young and they'll have been said, don't you say no to me.
Okay.
Anyone remembers that pink finger coming at them as a kid and saying, don't you dare say no to me. That was it. You didn't do it again. You know? So yeah, so Nicola, hey you guys. My husband's gonna be like, what's she doing in there? Might not be great.
Supposed to be working.
Yeah.
So it was Helen who asked this originally, the bottom one, next one.
Right.
And yeah, this is perfect. So again, we've just talked about our secrets in the lounge. We have a whole section. So we've got 7 secrets. A whole one is pretty assertive. It's dedicated to learning the skill of assertiveness.
I'll look after you, Helen. I'll look after you. Let me tell you why this is then. So this is back to, I was talking about hierarchy before. This will be to do with that because you're specifically calling out there in meetings. So when it's a formal environment or it's a senior manager, you find it really difficult. So you are skilled, that you can do it. If you can do it with somebody at peer level or direct report, but it's upwards, then it's normally more about either you've got a credibility issue, so you're not feeling entirely credible, or there's that wonkiness is there. How you were brought up around. Well, we were all taught, weren't we? You don't be cheeky to your elders or the really important people who were high up. And it doesn't serve us in this day and age. So it's letting go of some of that, and that actually challenging more senior people. Usually, if you're skilled in the delivery, will get you far more respect and credibility out of the back end. Actually, people love that. They're like, do you know what? Brilliant question. Why didn't anyone else speak up and ask me that?
Yeah.
Check me out.
Yeah. Interesting, and that shows how much value you're putting on what you think your friends and family will believe. And yeah, same. Jenna's will be the same with this work one. And that's okay. See, people get really stressed about you're not who we're looking for. Like, that's fine. I'm who someone's looking for. And if they know you're not a good fit, it's almost deciding, well, that's a good escape for me because I don't want to, not very broad, I don't want to get a job where I don't fit properly. And I talk about this a lot. It's the idea that we're not made to fit everywhere, and that is no reflection on who you are as a person. It's to do with the company's ethics or values or particular skill set they require.
There's so many influencing factors in that.
Yeah.
For me, I'd probably push a few, but I know you'd be like, well, whatever. It wasn't for me anyway, and you let it go, like, all chilled. I feel I'd push that one and say, absolutely fine. Can you be really specific with me about why that is, just so I'm super clear? And then I'd go, great, thanks, and I would leave, and I'd be fine with that. But yeah, I would be kind of like, that is insufficient, and I would not settle for a wishy-washy, woolly answer like that.
I might not. It depends on the whole circumstances. But I think my bigger point is, don't take that as a personal slight against who you are. It's that you don't fit is totally an okay thing, but it's not a personal thing saying you're not good enough. That's not the same thing at all. But that's what we tend to hear. If someone's saying you don't fit, we hear you're not good enough, and that is not the same thing.
No,
because we're projecting, we're making the story up in our head about what is actually happening there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really important. Yeah.
Raj has put, respecting elders. I find it so hard to let go of this. And please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you're really rude to them, but it's more about the respect isn't there just because they're older. The respect is there because maybe they're wise. Maybe they've got a lot to teach us. Maybe they're, there could be 1,000,001 reasons to respect them. But let's not let it be just because they're older.
Or in a more senior role.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily what buys it either. So how is not being assertive helping you fit in where you are, where that is. Does that make sense?
Who is this?
Sorry, I think it's going to still be Helen. Yeah, still Helen. Yeah, how does not being assertive help you fit in more? Because they already know, and that's the thing.
I'm reading this then.
I'm
assertive when I know I already fit in, but I'm not when I'm not sure, when I'm going somewhere new or I'm unsure about that. I'd question, right, and please take this in the spirit it's intended. It might sound a bit arsey. But most people I teach about assertiveness, they didn't have a clue what it meant. People have got a very, very wonky definition of what assertiveness means. So I'm wondering if maybe that's a little bit out of kilter, and if you were crystal clear on what it meant, then you might change your mind about both sides of that. Actually, you might think, oh crap, I'm not even assertive in the comfortable situation. Or you might be, actually, I am. I work with so many women who go, oh, I just wasn't made like that. I wasn't built to be assertive. And they are. Anybody can learn it. You can wear pastel colours. You can wear floral tea dresses with trainers. You can be nice as pie and still be assertive. So it's about letting go of all of the stereotypes around it. And then a lot of people they attach assertiveness to quite aggressive behaviour.
The whole bitch boss in her shoulder pads and red lipstick, straight bob.
Facebook posts I see when it's like, when they call you bossy, tell them you're assertive. Listen, if you're bossy, you're aggressive. Right? So I'm like, Jodie, don't respond to them. Just let that one go. Let that one go. You're going to get into a bit of a row. Oh, interesting. So Ruth on the live chat saying respect should be reciprocated. I say discuss. It's an interesting one.
Should. What's the should?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, the opposite, not be respectful of someone doesn't necessarily mean being disrespectful to them. But just because someone's my boss, so again, at Cadbury's, I had some brilliant bosses, and I had this one woman I hated. I had no respect for her whatsoever. She behaved really poorly. She'd manage in a really poor way. She'd pull me out for things in front of people, and I had zero respect for her. That didn't mean I was disrespectful towards her, but I built no loyalty up for her. I wouldn't have done anything above my job for her. And I didn't like her, but that's not the same as being actively disrespectful towards her, because that's not who I am to some degree.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to work this one through, whether I've ever experienced this. I am thinking on the hop here. Respect, reciprocated. I think
it's on both sides for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't respect somebody back just because if they said to me, oh my God, I really respect you. In fact, I've had that said to me, and in my head I thought, oh, I don't respect you. I think you're a waste of obviously didn't say that. I just said thank you. But yeah, so I don't know, but I'm a bit like interesting on that.
I like the idea, but I feel more like it's earned than just that should be reciprocated.
Yeah, because I get given it doesn't mean I give it back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd like it to be, but
that'd be lovely. That'd be really nice. That'd be a great outcome. Don't think it always pans out that way. Oh, I missed Rachel's comment.
I know.
What advice would you give being a woman working in a very male-dominated environment where your strong opinions or being assertive can be seen as an emotional woman? Oh, coach loads of women on there.
This is just too big to answer almost, because now we're getting into actual assertiveness coaching.
So let me try and do a really succinct answer. Okay, I can. I've got it. I'm on fire. At last today, just before I go to bed. I've looked, my eyes like piss off. No. So this happens to lots of women to get labelled as emotional. So what I would suggest, because typically what happens is, as women, We are more emotionally intelligent naturally. That, you know, men tend to learn emotional intelligence. That is a big sweeping statement. There are some men that are naturally emotionally intelligent on the whole. However, which is a really positive trait. However, there is a downside to that. And what that means is, without the self-awareness and being conscious of it, what we tend to do is we display our emotions, okay? So we like, you know, we let them out and we act them out a little bit, even when we think we're tempering ourselves, or, you know, we've had a little bit of deep breath. I call it body leakage, which isn't very pleasant, but even when you think you've nailed the fact that you're not letting something out, it's written all over your face, it comes out, right?
Yeah.
So what I try and coach women to do is to describe their emotion rather than display it. So let's just say, for example, you're in a meeting, the situation makes you angry, right? Let's just say you're fired up and you're like, fuck off, I'm not having this, right? And you're ready to go batshit crazy. And some women might get quite tearful, right? Even, I mean, it might not be you, but some people get tearful when they get angry. But people go, oh, look, she's upset. It isn't upset, I'm flipping fuming. However, we'll come out with like that. So that's because we're triggered. We don't check in with ourselves to go, ooh, what's that? Because normally when we're triggered, we have a physical sensation somewhere in the body, and it's learning to know where your emotions happen. So when I get angry, right, it happens here.
Yeah.
Right? When I get worried or concerned, that happens here. When I get nervous, or I can't think of the other word, that'll happen in my belly, right? You'll just learn to, or there'll be certain things that make your armpits sweat, or all kinds of things. So learn, and when you feel the sensation, you're like, right, what is that? What is it? And you're like, okay, label, that's anger. Okay, right. Then in the meeting, I've got that there. I've gone, trigger, felt it. What is it? Anger. Okay, can we just stop things here? It's really important to let you know that actually I'm not happy with this decision. In fact, I'm really angry right now. Now, if I can do that, people go, oh, God, shit, she's angry, she's angry. And I've allowed myself to deal with it, and I've not buried it. I have been, I've conveyed my emotion, but I haven't let it out. I've described it. So describe it, not display it, is what I would suggest.
And I taught this to Charlie the other day. Charlie was having my 6-year-old was having a fit about something, and we had a whole discussion about, listen, it's totally cool to feel how you feel. It's not cool to behave like that. So let's have a chat about this. And I want you to learn, like, as soon as you can in your life, I want you to learn about how to talk your emotion rather than demonstrate it in a way that's unhelpful and is not getting you what you actually want. Because if Charlie said to me, I'm really cross about this because, I'd be like, okay, right, let's have a chat then. Yeah. Who's that? Oh, I've lost my page. Oh, I've totally lost my page.
Raj is also looking at body leakage. Ruth says, if higher management are disrespectful, do they deserve respect? Well, the short answer is no, isn't it? How you handle that, well, you've got a number of options, but we'll save them for another day if that's all right.
Yeah, but no, not automatically do they deserve respect. You may have to behave in an appropriate way for work. That is not the same as respecting them. Yeah.
And this is to do with, your all to do with your self-worth and your self-esteem and how you feel about yourself. It's not about how you behave outwardly. I can think to myself, you know what, you're disrespectful. Now, I might give them some feedback, but I'll make sure I'm skilled at giving them the feedback. But I might just choose to think, do you know what, I don't respect you. I'll behave appropriately around you, but no, you ain't got my respect. Well, that'd be fine.
They almost know that. It's like, it's almost worse. And again, it goes back to, you don't affect me because I know that I'm doing my job really well, and you being rude is never going to change that.
Yeah.
But I'm never going to do my best work for you because I don't respect you.
Yeah, I'll do the job to a good standard. That's what it comes down to. Will you get my discretionary effort? Yeah. Will I go the extra mile for you? Am I engaged in my work? That's when it changes. So.
Yeah.
Right. It's dead on 9 o'clock. I think we're all out of time. I think we've had a good old sesh there. I'm sure you
Probably
will.
not still awake, either of us. I would normally be asleep half an hour by now.
See, I would say I would normally be up for another hour and a half, but I would like to hit the sack early tonight. So thank you for coming and spending this evening with us, for getting stuck in, for participating, commenting, being brave enough to ask you questions. That's what matters. That's what makes bootcamp work. So keep it up, keep doing it. You do the work, make yourself vulnerable, you put yourself out there. It makes all the difference. You are very, very welcome. So we will be back tomorrow. It's Wednesday tomorrow, isn't it? Yeah, Wednesday. Hump day. We're back with workshop 2 tomorrow, lunchtime, 12:30. And tomorrow we are doing the common New Year's resolution fails that women how to avoid them. Is that right?
Yep, it is right.
Right. Oh, Rachel saying, thank you so much. Enlightening for me. Absolutely love tonight. 100% much needed self-care. Oh, there you go. Boom. We'll go out.
And lightning, not enlightening. And I'm like, oh, I want to be lightning.
Oh, yeah. Well, we did say you'd have a hoot, didn't we? You know, we did say we're funny.
Saying it doesn't make it true, but still.
No one likes really people who are like, yeah, I'm well funny, mate. You're like, well, you're not.
Yeah, but we are.
We get lots of feedback that says we're quite funny and we like being a bit funny.
And again, we talked about our values. We want to laugh. I want to be doing work that's like this. Because we have given all of us, and we always will. And that's just, it's dead important. Yeah.
Right. Have a lovely evening. Everybody sleep well, sweet dreams, and we'll see you at lunchtime tomorrow.